everyone. Am I talking? Everybody hear me okay through the microphone? Excellent. So my name's Erik Dickson. I work for the Associated Students at Sonoma State University, so I work for you. I'm the only person on campus who can truly say they work for the students. My supervisor is the elected student body president, so whoever the AS president is can fire me whenever they feel like it. So whenever you see the AS president say good things about the presentation, that way I can feed my family. So no, just kidding. So I work for the Associated Students. I help them run all their programs, things like ASP and JUMP and student government. I've been working in student leadership and student governance for a long time at a lot of different campuses. So what I'm going to talk to you today is about teams and group dynamics. We're going to be moving around a little bit, so I'm going to be asking for some volunteers. So if you're a voluntary kind of person, prepare yourself. Because I know sometimes you sit in this room and you're like, I've sat in this chair for 50 minutes straight and my mind is going numb. Plus it's lunchtime, plus it's nice outside. So I'm going to be asking for some people to come up on stage. I'm going to be asking for you to respond and talk. It gets really awkward when I just stand up here and wait for you, so I'm okay with that. So some of you may also know me as the guy at orientation who yells at you, and well, I don't really try and yell, I talk to you about not wearing shirts from other campuses and why it's important to have your Sonoma State University pride. I also let you know you can't cover it up, I already caught you. I also let you know that if I see you around campus, I'll say something, so I do see a UCSD sweatshirt in the audience. It's too bad that you get outed, I'm sorry. So I'll be looking around, so if you see my head shake back towards you, just because I've caught the shirt you're wearing, so if you've got like a Cal shirt or something on, then just kind of, you know, put a jacket on or cover it up as best you can. So you ready to get going? Yeah. All right, by show of hands and making a noise, how many students this is their first year at Sonoma State University? Okay, nice. Show of hands and making some noise, how many of you this is your second year at Sonoma State University? Nice. How come? Why are the second year sitting on this side? Because they're cool. They got here first, that's why, because they had to sit all the way over. Making noise, showing of hands, any third years? A few. Third years are like, yeah, whatever, I'm here, I don't really. Fourth years? The fourth years are like, what? I'm not the only one, that's awesome. Anybody in a fifth year? Victory lap? Just kidding, or just wanted to woo? Because sometimes just wooing is fun, so. Okay, so transfer students. Well, that's why I say first year, second year, third year, because they've only been here, how long have they been here? That way we can, plus we try and recognize not everybody does a 4-year pattern, so. All right, so let's talk a little bit about teams and groups. So working with a team is hard. When you talk about leadership, and I know you are probably about 2/3 of the way through your conversation about leadership, but working with a team is hard. Many people would describe it as the hardest thing that they will do. Not to prop myself up, because I'm amazing, but talking about groups and teams and how to work with a group of people will be some of the most important leadership conversations that you're going to have throughout this entire class. So many people who lead teams, who work with people, describe that part of their job, that part of their leadership as the hardest thing that they will do. I have about 90-ish people who work for me. I spend more time on their crap than I do anything else that I'm supposed to do. Because working with people on all their individual stuff, all their dynamics, all of their moods, all those sorts of things are the things that you're going to spend most of your time with. If you're leading a group, if you're leading a committee, if you're a CSA, if you're a peer mentor. Peer mentor is going to hear it. Leading students is fun. Yay, peer mentors. It's going to be a really important part, and so really getting a sense of how to work with a group and what some of the roadblocks are, some of the difficulties are, is what we're going to talk about today. Sound like a good idea? Yeah, see, that's the part where I ask where you talk, and then it gets sad and pathetic, and you're like, what? Excellent, well done. Whoever's peer mentor is at 5 bonus points for that person. I don't know if I have the power to do that, but I'll just throw out bonus points randomly, and then if you get them, cool. Okay, so what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about some basics about groups, just some basic structures of groups. We're going to talk a little bit about how groups evolve, how groups work. We're going to try and talk about who's in your group and some of the roles that they play. And we're going to try and do all of that before you all try and skid out of here at exactly 12:50. The first thing we're going to do to try and get things moving is we're going to do something called the Insta Snapchat Group Dynamics Project. So as I know, you have one person up here talking about groups and group dynamics seems a little counterintuitive. So I need 8 volunteers. Wait, there's conditions. I need 1 volunteer from each of the 8 sections. So however you pre-decide who that is, I'm not going to get involved, but once you decide who that is, get yourselves up on the stage. One from each section. You just kind of sit and twirl. That's what I do. I just kind of sit and I twirl up. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I too am educated at California State University, but I still only count 7. We need one more. There's one section of all shy people. Nice. Way to go. Big round of applause for all the volunteers. He was just getting up to say, good job, way to volunteer. I'm so proud of you. Okay, here are 8 volunteers. Tell them to introduce themselves and tell us who your peer mentors are. The faculty get all of the credit. Who's your peer mentor? So start on that end and work your way down.
My peer mentor is Monica. My name is Kimmy.
One person in that section is excited that she's up here. Okay, go ahead.
My peer mentor is Zoe Gray, and I'm Leslie.
Nice. There you go.
My peer mentors, best peer mentor is Kayla.
Whoa.
And my name is Ryan.
What's your name? Nice.
I don't agree with that statement. My peer mentor is Alex, and my name is Alex.
Hi, I'm Hunter. My peer mentor is Sarah.
Ronnie, my peer mentor is Anahita.
Nice.
My name is Nicole, and my peer mentor is Allison.
My name is Gracie, and my peer mentor is Bobby.
So big round of applause for our volunteers and stuff. Get up here and volunteer. All right, so here's what we're going to do. So for you all, from this line back, that's your side of the stage. So you 8 need to stay on that side of the stage. So if you're on this side of the stage, you need to be on that side of the stage. That'd be you all. So that's your side of the stage. So you now are officially our group. You're going to be our test group. So I know you get told not to take out your phones and not to be texting or Instagramming or Snapchatting, doing these sorts of things. For the next few minutes, we're going to totally get rid of that. So people are like, I'm free! I can touch my phone again. I've been so out of touch. If I see you scrolling, though, if I see thumbs, then I know you're in trouble. So no scrolling. So here's what we're going to do. They're going to be our Instagram, Snapchat. We're going to talk about groups, and they're going to try and act out quickly whatever stage of a group we're talking about. So when I'm going to be talking about a group, while I'm talking about it, they need to find a pose or a quick, 10-second skit that talks about that particular stage of a group. Now, it's really advantageous if you find out who did and didn't do the reading before class in this activity. So if you see one person what did he say? I don't know what we're talking about. So you get to watch them a little bit while we're talking about this and see how quickly they can come up with. Feel free to use whatever hashtags you want to use. If you want to come up with one of your own, something a little fun so you can put them up. If you want to use your peer mentor's name, whatever you want to use, just so you get a chance to kind of see. Just for you all, so you know, the stage gets darker as you get back. So if you're shy and you're in the back of the stage, no one can see you. If you're really, I want to be in the middle of it. The lights are up in the front of the stage. Stay away. We found out who really likes to show off. So, are you all clear on what your job is? So I'm in a second going to click through and start talking about the first stage of groups. I'll announce it loud. It'll be one word. And then I'll talk a little bit about it. You'll have that time to kind of come up with a pose that they can Instagram or Snapchat that describes or shows off that word. You all got it? Yes. Sure. What the heck? Okay. Are you ready? All right. So we're going to be talking about Tuckman's model. You can kind of see that if you're paying attention to the hashtag. So the first one is if this will wake up. Maybe not. Nope. Okay. We're going old fashioned. Oh. Sorry. Remind me later. We have a little Adobe Flash Player issue. Remind me later. And we're back. We're talking about forming. Are you ready? So we're talking about forming. Figure it out. Ready? Here we go. So when you talk about forming in a group, groups go through stages, just like kids go through stages. So this is the other advantage is you're watching them and listening to me. So it's kind of like a cool laugh track. So when groups come together, it's called forming. Hey, groups, a little quieter though. When groups come together, they're forming. They're at the beginning. People are deciding to be part of the group. They're deciding, is that the group I want to be part of? Maybe not. Might be talking about recruitment for the group. You might be talking about finding out what the group is about. What's their mission? What's their purpose? They have a cool name, but what are they really about? You might find out who else is in the group. So you might look at this group and say, no, I like that group over there. So some of that may, who's in the group, who identifies as part of the group will be important. And then the most important thing to remember about forming, it's a chance where the group gets to know each other. Because again, participation in a group is going to be also not just about seeing it and liking it, it's getting to know each other, because that's going to help us in the next stage. So let's see what our group has come up with as an opportunity to show off forming. Here we go. We'll see how good of volunteers we got. 5, 4, 3. Everybody get ready to Snapchat this? 2. The worst thing is going to be is ridicule and laughter.
So the school group is going to go over here, and everyone else is just going to...
Wow, so we went from forming to shaming, but that's a different issue altogether. So that was a good first. How'd they do? Okay. We'll give them about a 5 for their first try. We're going to remind them to come a little bit more forward towards the front of the stage because half of you are in the dark, both literally and figuratively. So just remember. So our next, after forming, what's the next group stage? Who read ahead? Storming, correct. Storming is the next stage. Storming sounds horrible, like you're going to fight and there's going to be like a rumble in the middle of your club. That's not really, the group is trying to figure out what they're about. They're starting to get a little bit more comfortable, so they're starting to share their ideas, they're starting to agree on their purpose. People come to clubs or come to organizations or come to groups thinking they know what the group's about, but they have to work to figure it all out together. The group starts becoming comfortable, so you're not like shy, like I don't want to say anything, I don't want to be out of place. So then you're like, no, I feel good, I'm going to tell you what I think and why you're wrong and I'm right. People start to disagree. They start to ask questions like, why are we here? People start to get a little bored of like, do I have to be at this meeting? Why am I here? What's going on? You suck as a leader, all those sorts of things. There's lots of focus on the product. Because everybody comes to a meeting and they're like, I'm here to do X. But nobody really talks a lot about the process. Everybody tries to avoid storming because it sounds horrible. It sounds like a bad thing. But it's an important part of the process for a group to go through that process to understand what they're doing, why they're there, and figuring out the process. So let's see what our group does for storming. Are we ready? Give them 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and storming. Nice. That's deep. You got to think about that one for a minute. Like they're thinking about the roles of their group. It's an internal storm for them more than anything else. That was good. I like that. That was good. All right. Next group stage. Anybody know? Norming. Somebody read. Good job. 5 extra bonus points for you. So norming. So make sure to see your TA for those bonus points. So you're finally past the storming stage where everybody's just piping up with weird things to say. They're starting to talk about what it is we're trying to do. We can focus on why we're here. We've all agreed on why we're here. That's what you're doing in norming. You're starting to set the process for how to get things done. You've talked a little bit about what you're going to do. Now you're talking about how to get those things done. Why? We know why we're here. Now we're going to do what are we going to do. They're agreed. They're like, please be a bullet we can use. The group starts to understand its own culture. We all go to groups, and we were the first one, we're the new one of that group, or you go to a meeting, so you go to a club meeting, you walk in, the club meeting starts at noon, and you're the only one there. Everybody comes in at 12:10, because groups develop their own personality, they develop their own culture. So the groups are going to start identifying that, how they work, how they talk, how they share, all those sorts of things. The people will start to understand their role in the group. Not everybody can be the leader of a group, not everybody can be a follower in the group. But as part of norming, everybody starts to understand their own roles. So let's talk about norming. Okay, are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, And somebody was making it up as they go. So, nice, good job. Let it norm. So, good job. That one was, we're going to work on that one a little bit. So we'll work on norming. So the next stage is performing. I'm counting on you all on this one. We're getting down to the end. So performing is the time where the group really starts to do stuff. They've got all their purpose stuff done, and they're finally getting their work done. Task-oriented groups, so if you're part of a committee, or you're part of a work group, a task force, they need to get to the performing thing soon. If you're leading a class, or you're leading a living group, or you're doing those sorts of things, you've got a lot more time to get the performing stuff. So looking a little bit at what your purpose is going to make a difference how long it takes for you to perform. If you're together for a full year, so let's take like a living group, you may go through all of these stages multiple times. So you may go through get to performing, where everybody in the living group is loving each other, not that kind of loving each other, but like getting along. And then you may have to go through the entire cycle all over again. And at some point, if you're leading the group, you should be focusing on renewing the group. How are they excited to be here again? Because you get working and everybody gets a little bored, a little exhausted. They start focusing on things. So how can you keep the group engaged and interested? All right, performers, are you ready?
No.
Not ready. We'll all sit and talk amongst each other while you get ready. So we're going to go from there. Are you ready? Performing.
One equality, we want it now.
An excellent example of performing. I didn't buy all of their performances though. Most of them wanted it. It was good. Nice and done. All right. So that's performing. And our last stage is adjourning. Somebody said adjourning. Adjourning. So adjourning is how do you go about ending a group? All groups end in some way, shape, or form. New people may come in, old people may leave, the group may just terminate, but how do you go through that process? How do you reflect on the lessons it learned? At some point, everything in college is a learning lesson. At some point, you want to get better the next time you do it. So how do you reflect on those lessons that you've learned? How do you focus on celebrating success? You just did a group and you did something and everybody's like, see, bye. Like there's no closure there. So maybe you don't want a trophy, but you want some way to kind of celebrate the success of the group. How do you end those relationships? You know, for those of you who are going to be running living groups, or those of you who are going to be running classes, at some point, everybody's going to kind of separate. They're going to do their own thing. How do you deal with that process of ending relationships? And how do you value the sacrifice that people gave? For a lot of groups and leadership, it requires people to give up of themselves. How do you celebrate that? How do you recognize that? And obviously for all groups, there's some version of passing the torch. How do you make sure the next group of students is going to get all the information, get everything that you all work so hard for, that gets passed on to the next group? So let's talk about adjourning. Let's see what adjourning looks like. They will be ready for this.
Seagulls on three. 1, 2, 3. Seagulls!
Nice. Very nicely done. Good. Oh, they're walking away. See, I didn't realize there was a visual there. Okay. You all are officially done. Big round of applause for our volunteers. Because it's time for you to be on your way. So shuffle along. All right. So those 5 stages, forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning, which doesn't rhyme at all, and it totally throws off the whole process. But those 5 stages are a pretty good example of some of the stages that groups are going to go through. I know you're all here to be leaders. You're here signed up for a leadership class, so intuitively that's what you're thinking. But when you get to a group, what's the first thing you all want to do? When you start a group and you're the leader, what do you want to focus on? Anybody? This is the part where you will talk. Why the group is there? What's the purpose of the group? Yeah.
Who picked the leader?
Who picks the leader? Structures are formed. Positions. Anybody else? So there's lots of that structure-y sort of stuff. What are we going to do? Why are we here? Well, we often forget forming is sometimes it's just about relationships. It's about those connections. And how do people get to understand each other? I know previous chapters you talked a lot about understanding yourself, understanding others. But groups and group dynamics are about relationships. We always want to focus on the task, or we want to focus on the group. We have to remember that what's important is that we start focusing on the individuals and getting to know each other. Because who's going to be president is going to be less important than understanding who's going to be the best person to be president. Getting to know the people in the group is going to be important. Storming is hard. It's hard to watch a group grow through this kind of everybody crunching each other, so everybody yelling at each other. But at some point you need to go through that process so everybody understands and can agree on why they're there. That's the important piece. If you get stuck in storming, your group's gonna die out pretty quick. But how do you go through that process to make sure everybody knows why they're there? Okay? So those 5 stages are really important. Norming and performing and adjourning are pretty self-evident, like once you get past the storming stage. But don't forget to focus on the relationships. Don't forget to focus on the individuals, because that's what we forget in group dynamics. Groups are a pretty basic structure. There's 3 basic dimensions of a group. Anybody know one of them? There's 3 of them. I know they were in the reading, so anybody know one of them? First one is purpose. Why does the group exist? You all just talked about it. If you as a leader don't know why the group exists, you've got trouble. If you're just like, here I am, I'm a leader, I don't really know why I'm here, but got an A in the class, so hi, how are you? Good to see you. Somebody's like, yeah, I got to get an A in this class. At some point, you've got to understand why you're there, because you have to help communicate that purpose to the group. If the group doesn't understand why it's there, then your group's gonna fumble. A lot of the times, is understanding the basic differences of your group is going to help you make decisions. Are all groups the same on their purpose? Yep. What's some of the differences? Yeah. Some are more what?
Involved with others.
Involved. What do you mean by involved?
Like the purpose is more like impactful.
Okay, good. They require more of the people and make more impact. Good. What's some other differences in purpose? Anybody? People are all touching their hair. I'm not raising my hand, I'm just touching my hair. Yeah. Short term, we're going to talk about time in a second, but purpose. Some purposes are really out there, like we need to get together to get this done. We need to put on big nights. So the group comes together, they talk and they figure it out, but they know their purpose is to put on big night. What is the purpose of a living group? Some of you are about to be CSAs, yeah? It's not all of you. CSA, meh. Some are CSAs, some are peer mentors, some are going to be AS senators. There's lots of different things. But when you're in charge of a living group, what's the purpose of a living group? You don't produce anything. There's no event you go to. What's the purpose of a living group? Coexistence. Coexistence? Don't burn the place down. Safety of the residents. Anybody else? Yeah. Building a community. Those are kind of really big purposes, right? They're big picture sorts of things. They're harder to explain. Putting on events easy to explain. So understanding why the group is together is important because it's going to help you make decisions about how to go through those 5 stages. Another basic dimension is structure. How is the group structured? What are the external and internal rules of the group? Give me some example of some formal external rules that govern the groups at Sonoma State University. Who are some of those people? Anybody have any ideas? These are formal external folks. People who put structure rules on top of the groups at Sonoma State. Anybody know one? Judy Sakaki. So we're going to go beyond just a name. We're going to name her, like Judy Sakaki. The university administration. The university administration is going to define how groups work here at Sonoma State University. That could be all the way up to Dr. Sakaki, all the way down to administrators and leaders at every level of the university. So yeah. Who else? What else? What other rules are out there? How many of you want to be a peer mentor? Who else is going to put some rules out there for you? Faculty? Faculty's classroom rules, some of those sorts of things. They're going to define how groups work. The curriculum is going to define how things work. So how the structure of the group is set up. How many of you, and because I know the answer to this question, how many of you were involved in student government either here or when you were in high school or in another school? So some of you. So there's all sorts of structural rules when you're in student government. There's bylaws, there's codes, there's policies, there's all those sorts of things. Things that you have to follow. There's rules and regulations and policies for living in the residence halls. There's rules and regulations and syllabi for being in a class. Understanding those structures is going to be important for how you manage your groups when they get here. And the last one is time of understanding. Somebody said it. Where's the person who talked about time in advance? 5 bonus points for you for being 2 slides ahead. How long is your group going to exist? If you've got 8 weeks to plan big night, that's a very different time arrangement and group than if you have a year as a living group to kind of get it together and coexist. So how does time affect the structure of your group? So when you're putting your group together, you're going to be a leader of a group. These 3 structures, these 3 dimensions are going to help you make decisions about how you go through the forming and the storming and the norming and the performing and eventually the adjourning. These pieces are what's going to help you understand how to do those other 5 sections. So understanding these is going to be important. So when you get thrust into a position of leadership, whether it be a club, a CSA, a peer mentor, a student government leader, a student employee, whatever it may be, these are the questions you should be asking. Why are we here? How are we set up? How long do I have? Because then you're going to have to set up the systems for the people you work with. Does this all make sense? Right, good. All right, so let's talk a little bit about roles. We've talked about dimensions, we've talked about personal. Let's talk about the groups themselves. For how many of you, when you go into a classroom or you go into a club, how many of you are in a club or organization on campus? Most everybody? Well, not as many as I thought. Raise your hand way up high if you're in a club. Okay, so a good portion of you. How many of you, when you go into a club, and you're sitting in a club meeting, and there's that one person who's just kind of talking about stuff that you don't understand, you just want to ignore, and they're like, who the heck is that guy? What happens when we get into a group, and you may even do this yourself, you get into a group and you kind of fall into a role. It's not necessarily you, but you kind of get yourself into a role. You start talking a little bit about things that aren't normally your focus. They're just kind of how you see what the group needs. Those are called group roles. Whenever people get into group settings, is they kind of fill in niches. And the niches are attached to both their personality and their skills. So a super shy person isn't going to become the outgoing kind of devil's advocate. But they're going to connect it to their personality and their skills. And some group roles are really important to have. Some group roles are a giant pain in the butt. And we're talking about both of those here in a second. But understanding how group roles exist and what they are and why they're important is what we're going to talk about in a second. So there's 3 types of group roles. The first type of group roles are task roles. Roles that help you get your job done. So this is a list of task roles that comes out of your book. I've expanded it a little bit to some other roles that exist. And I want to talk a little bit about this. So this is where I'm going to get you all to answer the question. What is an initiator? What do you think an initiator does? Now understand that I understand you're Sonoma State students, so sometimes just defining the word is enough to answer the question. So that's a little hint in there. Just define the term, and you might get close to what the answer is. So what do you think an initiator does in a group? Go ahead, just shout it out. Whoever wants to shout it, go ahead. Yeah. You ever push that person in a group who's always got new ideas? Like they just generate ideas like crazy. Like, hey, what if instead of big night, we don't do big night, we do big week? They just always got some new ideas. They're always initiating the process. They're always moving the process forward. Imagine what a group would be like that really has a really task-oriented thing that had no initiator. You just basically do the same thing over and over. Okay? What about an information seeker? An info seeker? Wow, way to use the word and reversing the order to answer the question. They're always a person that they don't necessarily want to make a decision. They want to make sure we have all the information. So they're, maybe we shouldn't decide right now. We should really be thinking about getting more information. What does the university administration think? Some other people are like, no, who cares what the administration thinks? Let's get going. But they're really seeking information. They're really kind of getting that process going. Other important ones, let's talk a little bit about one that's, what's a procedural technician? This is my favorite one, by the way. A procedural technician, yeah.
The person that follows all, they want to make sure all defined procedures and work correctly on the paperwork and work logistical.
Yeah. So they're that behind the scenes person. They're the ones that make sure the room is set up. They're the ones that make sure that everybody has the pieces of paper that they need. They're the ones that make sure everything that, whatever needs to happen is happening behind the scenes ahead of the group meeting. You'd be amazed how many groups fail because they don't have somebody who takes care of the little nitty-gritty details. Everybody's an initiator, everyone's an opinion giver, everyone's an information seeker, but nobody's making sure that we have chairs in the room. Nobody's making sure that we're setting up the meeting at a time when everybody can be there. Just those little important roles are vital. Why is you as a leader important? Why is it important for you to understand these roles? What is that? How is that of value to you all as a leader? Anybody? Why is this important for you? How is this going to be of value to you when you get to put yourself into a leadership role? Go ahead.
It kind of makes, if you're like working in groups and having a team set up, it makes
Yeah.
the flow of getting things done quicker and faster. than you
For
think.
sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
If you understand all of the roles and you're able to value every person in the group because you know that they each play a important part.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It allows you guys to have what you lack.
But you lack in your group. Good. So yeah, what else? One other thing I'm looking at. She got the closest, so you get bonus points. So when you get into a group, what do people want to do? They want to have something to do, right? So at some point, recognizing what people's skills and abilities are and matching them up with a role. If you see somebody who's really good at logistics, but maybe they're really shy, making them a procedural technician, finding that, saying, you know what, I'm going to make sure you need to make sure that we have all of this stuff done. People take pride in when they have a role, when they have something they know they can do. You've all been to groups, you've all been part of groups where you're like, I don't really even know why I'm here. Once you get something you can do, something you can hold on to, something that's yours, then you feel like you have something to do that you're benefiting the purpose of the group. So you as a leader can also help people find connections to their roles. If you don't have somebody who's opinion givers, you'll have plenty of those. Trust me, they will go out of the woodwork. But people who can help with energizers, people can help be that procedural technician. Helping people find success is how you're going to help your group move forward. No, what do you need?
Can you define energizer in a group?
I can define energizer in a group role. Kind of prods the groups to decision. So you're going to have somebody who's going to kind of try and keep the energy up and keep the momentum moving forward. A lot of times groups will spend, think of it as like when you're with your friends and you're trying to decide where to go to dinner. And you can spend an hour and a half trying to decide where you're going to go to dinner. At some point you need that energizer. You need that somebody who's like, okay, we got to make a decision. Is it going to be Taco Bell or is it going to be someplace that's not Taco Bell, please? Any place but Taco Bell. I think my cholesterol just shot up from this conversation. But at some point you need that energizer. You're like, okay, enough talking, enough information seeking. Like, where do you want to go? Well, I don't know, where do you want to go? Well, I went there last time and it just wasn't so good. And I like Chipotle, but not so much. At some point you can have that conversation for an hour and a half. You need the energizer to say, okay, what do we want to do? Let's make a decision. We got a minute left. Otherwise, I'm going to eat one of you alive. So let's go. So some sort of energizer is going to help. So finding those task roles so everybody feels like they have something to do is going to be really important. Another type of roles are maintenance roles. So these are some group maintenance roles, some things that people can do. So any ideas what a harmonizer would do? And it does not involve Glee Club. So harmonizer. Yeah.
Kind of make sure everybody is like in balance and not one person like leaves that like the higher together. You want to make sure everyone's flowing correctly.
Yeah. Maintenance roles are about not so much about getting the thing done, but making sure the group is getting along. A harmonizer is that person who's always checking in, like, are you okay? Are you doing okay with Alvin? Are you and Alvin okay? I want you and Alvin to be okay. Okay, are you two okay? Okay, let's check on these people again. Are you doing okay? Are you doing okay? Are you two okay? Okay. They're always checking in to make sure somebody's doing well. They're always checking in each other. They get a little annoying after a while. They ask you 5 times, like, are you doing okay? Are you sure? Are you good? Are you sure? Because you look a little off. Are you sure? Are you good? Are you good? Then you're like, okay, stop talking to me, go away, go deal with Alvin. He has problems. So you're kind of shifting off to other people. So what about a gatekeeper? What do you think a gatekeeper is? They were still laughing at Alvin's problems. Don't shame Alvin. He's working through some stuff. So what do you think a gatekeeper does? Anybody?
Someone
Yeah.
who includes others in a conversation.
Say what?
Invites and includes others in a conversation.
Perfect, exactly. They're there to help the communication opening. So you've been in a group and you have that one person who always has something to say. Even if there's nothing that they have to say, they always have something to say. And there's 2 or 3 people who just kind of sit there like, either A, I'm really shy, or I don't want to interrupt that guy. So I'm just going to kind of sit here quietly. So gatekeepers making sure everybody's going to be invited. So they may just randomly pick somebody who's not paying really close attention and say, hey, what do you think about this? And they're like, what? Who, me? But they're making sure that if somebody looks like they have something to say, they're making sure everybody has that opportunity to be part of the conversation. They're opening up the communication. So good. What about a reality tester? Which you can always use more of. What's a reality tester? Yeah. Sure.
Would that even be possible to do right now?
Good. What else? Any other ideas for a reality tester? So you know when you're part of a group and they've been meeting for like 2 weeks and they're like, woohoo, we breathed in and out all the whole time. No one died of suffocation. Woohoo! And that person's like, well, you know, we were kind of here to do more than just be in the same room and breathe the same oxygen. So they're kind of like, why are we here? They're kind of making sure the group understands why they're there. Because you sometimes get people together, they're like, I went to a club meeting, that's all I needed to do. Check that off my list for my, my FYE course, woohoo! There's some kind of reality test of like, what are we actually here to do? Some of those sorts of things. So maintenance rules are important because you want to make sure people are being taken care of. The group is being taken care of. Leadership, folks, those of you in the leadership capacity, these are the roles a lot of times you'll be doing. Presidents, vice presidents, CSAs, peer mentors. You're doing the maintenance stuff. You're helping to make sure the group is functioning, that it's doing its process. I know a big part of the relational leadership model, you talk about process orientation. That's what the maintenance roles are for. So this is where we're going to separate from the text here for a second. The text only identifies 2 types of roles, the task roles and the maintenance roles. I want to bring out another set of roles that I think are important because they don't get talked about a lot, but they're the things that leaders deal with all the time. And they are blocking roles. So
You suck, Eric!
like that guy right there. So blocking roles are the things we talk a lot about. All these, what people are like, what just happened? Alvin's a little mad at me. No. Blocking roles are those things that you're not prepared for, but as a leader, it's an important thing to understand. Because the other 2 talk about when things are going good. But as a leader, oftentimes you're asked to step up when things aren't going so great, or if someone's acting crazy. And the hardest part is when someone is acting up. So there are lots of blocking roles that people talk about. So let's talk about some of these. An aggressor. Any idea what an aggressor is? It's fairly self-explanatory, but give me an example. A group example of an aggressor. Yeah?
Someone who keeps like bringing up situations that was bad and like wants to kind of like bring up different arguments over and over again because they haven't settled.
Yeah, and actually a little worse. An aggressor is somebody who takes their time just to tear down people in the group. Like, that was a horrible answer. I can't believe you chose to raise your hand. I'm totally kidding. But that's what an aggressor would do. They'd like take one person. She's like, what? She gets 10 bonus points just because I was being obnoxious. But an aggressor is somebody who's going to find some way to tear down other people in the group. We've all been in groups where there's an aggressor. We've all known that person. They just have a bad attitude, and all they want to do is just tear everybody down. Okay? What about a blocker? Any idea what a blocker is? Our former football players are like, yeah, I know what a blocker is. Totally got that.
Someone who blocks your process of getting things done.
Yeah, they just want to like stop everything. Like there's always a reason not to do anything. They don't want to do any of that sort of stuff. Must be 1250 or close to it. So the 1250 role. There's lots of ways and lots of different blocking roles. What do you all do? How do we deal with blocking roles? What do you do when you're a leader and somebody's doing one of these things in your group? What do you do? Any ideas? What would you do if you were in that situation? Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Hopefully it's not an aggressor because they're just going to say, that's a horrible idea. I don't want to do that. But yeah, just talking to them one-on-one. What else can you do? Yeah.
Use like the group maintenance, like rules to like counterbalance.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Why do people assume blocking roles? And we know people come into groups and they start dealing with blocking roles. Why do people assume blocking roles? Why do they start this? Why do people become aggressors and blockers and obnoxious? Why are they doing it? Anybody have any idea? Most of the time people are doing it because they're unsure of themselves. Because they don't feel connected to the group. Because they're not really sure why they're there. And for their personality and how they deal with the world, it's better for them to like strike out than just kind of sit there insecure. So it's a test for you as a leader. When someone's in your group and you're seeing some of this sort of activity happen, it's important for you to recognize that maybe as a leader you need to start thinking about forming the group a little bit again. You need to find a way for everybody to connect. Having a conversation like, maybe they just need to understand why they're there. Maybe they don't appreciate why the group is doing what they're going. Maybe they don't agree with where the group is going and they're still stuck in storming while everybody else has moved on. So it's important to remember that conflict is part of a group. There's going to be blockers. There's going to be aggressors. There's going to be those people who create conflict. The question for you all, is conflict in your group a good thing or a bad thing? What do you think? Good or bad? Why?
Strengthens your group.
Yes, if you can come out of it. If you can get out of the conflict, it's good for your group. It's a test. You're like, I am a good leader if I can survive the conflict. Some of the best ideas come out of conflict. We often associate conflict with negative. Like, conflict is bad. It's two people hate each other, like Alan and I. We can't stand each other. The only time we can be in the same room is today. Like, this is the only time, and it's because I am required by contract to be taller than him. That's the only reason we can be in the same place. See, exactly. But it's how can that conflict produce the best ideas? Because conflict comes, sometimes different ideas can happen. People can start building off each other. If you just always agree with each other, you're never going to get anywhere to that higher level. The conflict can be important. But understanding group dynamics, understanding team, understanding roles, and what can help you get your team moving forward and eventually get out of conflict and get to a good place. Cool? Nice. We've got like a minute or two left, so I'll take any questions, and then I've got a quick close. So any questions or thoughts or anything else that have come up? Anybody? Nothing? Cool. So I know it's leadership season right now, and everybody's applying for positions and all those sorts of things. Don't forget there's a couple other positions that are out there that still are open for another week. The Associated Students Productions, putting on all the events on campus, is open. JUMP, Community Service, is still open. Student government functions are still open. All available on Sonoma Sync to apply for. So there are still lots of leadership positions out there leading. The other thing is, what is happening next week on Monday and Tuesday? Voting. Voting for AS. Why is it important for you to vote?